Hi.
Hello. Hi. Lovely to see you again,
Good
Oksana.
morning. Yeah, that's nice to see you again too. Well, it's fascinating because I had two people in a row, with the sessions from the UK, and both of you are kind of artistic, but you write books, and I really wanted you to talk about your books. And I mean, overall, like a few minutes, how you felt after the session, what your thought process was, and the feeling is very important too. And then your
Yeah.
book. Mhm.
But in a way, they all fit together. It's really funny because I think I've listened to the session now 3, 4 times because there were parts that were so dense that I really wanted to kind of find my way into them. And now even looking through my children's books for the illustrations, I'm seeing a lot of the concepts that we were talking about are in there already. It's just that they hadn't been labeled, hadn't been defined, which is amazing. So I kind of went through the whole session that we did and wrote down all these points, and they all correlated, precisely to things. And I had a whale of a time. I mean, it was so funny seeing. And my daughter, that was the funniest bit, seeing her exactly as she would move and act and do and laugh and speak. It cracked me up with laughter. It was just hilarious. Um,
It's funny, yeah. Yeah, that's always it always coincides. It just like usually the clients they go through, they listen, 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 and then it takes for them time to sometimes connect. Or other times they're so frozen in motion after the session that I can, you know, it takes them a few minutes. But yeah, interesting. I always love listening to this though.
well, I loved. Do you know what I loved? It was that kind of legitimacy of my freedom. Taking off that net. It was what I always knew I was, but now I could be it. That allowance, that permission slip was so exciting. So I was so excited. I think I kind of was a little too generous to some people, left, right, and centre after the next days because I just felt so full. But then I got ill because I just slightly overdid it. Interesting. Um, but that's just kind of balancing, isn't it? Learning how to measure yourself. Also, when I was ill, I was working out ways I can help children understand their energy body much more and scan it. So I'm going to be putting that into this magazine I'm writing for kids too. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah.
That's very exciting because you can use, yeah, we can use so much of our experiences into whatever you're doing. And I mean, I loved the illustrations in your books. And did you find the right artist or you do it yourself, the
No, I
illustration?
do it myself because if you're trying to get, and as you know, when you're translating what
Right.
you see.
Yeah, to explain. That's what my first thought was that it's totally you who's drawing because I mean the energy and the colors. So yeah, but it's just pretty amazing. It, yeah, I mean that the colors are like of the new Earth of the Earth of the original Earth that everybody talks about. Those are the colors.
Yeah.
People are not, most of the time people are not brave enough, or they don't even have a concept of like putting this many colors together, but it really kind of makes you happy, you know.
I mean, all you have to do is go into a garden and you see that range of palette. It's there in nature. It is, but it just seems it's really hard for us to translate, I suppose, because we're so enmeshed in all this grey gloop. So yeah, it's so exciting for me to be able. I think I've got better and better at drawing people um, because I feel my way into them. Because I'm trying to express the emotions that they're feeling. And I just had this whole lot of kids throwing paper airplanes around a room that I had to find a way of drawing. It's like, okay, how am I going to draw that? Um, but it's lovely because, yeah, it's like going on an adventure. Other people have to go traveling to get that fun, and I just sit somewhere and do it. So
Right. Yeah, I see there is a paint, like a picture behind you. It's put together from I think those are illustrations from your books, right? Also?
some of them are. There's
Or-
you
Because
just maybe see there.
pictures.
Those are the two covers of the book. So,
Oh,
for example, here's one. And then here's another.
Vibration works. And
This
second.
is, so birds of a feather and vibration works. This one's a little bit trickier to read, contrast. I have different eyes than other people, so for me this is really easy to read, but other people say, oh, I can't read that, so I have to second print. I'm going to change that. But this is good, like this. I love this picture when I did this. This is inside the earth.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's like it depends what you think about. You would interpret it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
For a second I thought green peas, grapes, and then I saw, is it a cat behind, or is the cat's like tail, or is it an egg, or
It
is
could
it
be
a
so many.
building?
Yeah, because it's actually, there are two little children down here, and they're kind of they've discovered it. They're going into that space. But these are about what we were talking about inside Earth, the real dimension of the Earth. But it's basically stories. They're stories in two levels. So you've got Zog, which is apparently another planet.
Right, I'm sure it exists. There's so
I'm
many.
sure it exists. And they talk to, they talk to all aspects of nature. So they'll talk to a tree before they cut it down. In fact, they have a whole conversation with the forest, and then one tree that is in the wrong place says, yeah, I'm the one to go. So they talk to crystals. They use crystals to amplify, and their transmission. And it just goes on. So every aspect of nature they relate to. And then I realized that I could use an experience from when I was a child, when I was ill and in hospital for a long time. I don't even know how long it was for anymore. So I imagine I'd gone to Zog as a child and kind of understood all this stuff and been shown around. And then they got me back to Earth. Anyway, so this is a little bit later in the history, when these two children from Zog find out about Earth, and they're kind of really shocked how we live. It's like, what? It's all grey, and you're supposed to do this thing, and you're not allowed to discover by yourself, and you have to obey rules instead of you're allowed to discuss with adults on an equal level. They're just so bewildered by Earth, so they want to help us. So they find some little pockets around the globe that they think that there's some kind of resonance, and they find this girl who, of course, is sort of an alter ego of me, but she just bears my name in the book. And she's working with this orphanage in India. So a group of 13 children who have no proper parents. And basically, so they act almost like guides, these kids, Milo and Teal, the children in India, and they help them unfold and become proper full humans. And in that whole adventure, it turns out that Zog is the Earth, just in the future. Oh. And that's kind of really exciting when they discover that. These sort of layers, they realize that there are points that fit together, and it is the same place. It's just a different dimension.
Yeah, it's wonderful that you actually introduce this concept to children, because most kids don't. They're taught one way, and that's the only way, right? It's only way. Don't even try to think otherwise. Think like everybody else.
You're allowed to read a book. In fact, we make you read a book. Every 4 weeks you're supposed to read a book, but don't ever believe that that's real. It's so insane, isn't it? It's like, you're allowed to make up stories because we want you to write essays, but don't believe that's real either. It's a crazy system, isn't it? As you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're just. I just wanted to give them possibilities. Like, look at this. This is a crazy thing. This is in a jungle, and they needed a place to meet. So the mother of these two children had this idea to build this structure that the vanilla vines grew up. And so it's this kind of wonderful meeting place on the floor of the jungle. And it's just
cool. Looks like a hologram of something, that's how they build the holograms kind of idea.
Yeah, well, I suppose it is. In my mind, it's a hologram at the moment, but maybe I feel it's very real.
Oh, of course. I mean, these are your memories, actually. And all the people who write the books of this kind, these are their memories from the parallel lives.
Yeah.
just make up stuff. Imagination is a connection to your subconscious. That's just a tool that you derive knowledge from it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the biggest tool we've got, really, isn't it? And that's the weird thing.
That's
Again.
why we're trying so hard to suppress it and to tell us, just only kid stuff, imagination. But what did Einstein say? That imagination is more important than knowledge. Everybody forgets that.
Which I did read some brilliant physicists one day, like they were having a meeting, and I was there at the building at the same time, and I was chatting to them in their lunch break. And this one guy, he said, oh, really, actually, every new theory is only like the next crutch that we're walking on, a set of crutches. So he was an open-minded man, and it's so exciting when you meet scientists like that. Yeah, I mean, in this book, there's all the kind of all these books. I wanted to take the most beautiful, cutting-edge understanding of science and nature that we've got now, and then blend it with this new, bright, colourful, completely nature interactive environment, just to show that it's perfectly possible.
Right. Yeah. No, it's beautiful though. Those illustrations, people have to see them. And this is like you could put probably a gallery together because it's very interesting, especially that one drawing upside down, right? There's one upside down. So that really makes you think and your imagination grow. And you see something so different on every page. It's like you can make up stories out of one illustration each time without your story.
That idea that came through the session of the stick figures upside down. So immediately it was Mr. and Mrs. Upside Down, I could see. And so that's it's brewing that story. I've just started to sort of doodle some ideas because, yeah, that's going to be a fun story to do.
Oh, amazing. Like what kind of, where do you find colors like that? Is it pastels or?
Look, it's just, I just use these pencil crayons because they're so easy. You don't have to, they're not messy, and they're always, being used. Look, here's a palette. Woo! Don't fall out.
I know that one company, the metallic box like that. Yeah, it's amazing. They have this shades of the of different colors.
Yeah, and you can just blend them. So yeah, it's fun because I get to play. Look, this is one of the houses, and I can't wait to build one of these. I just need to grow. It's the same as these, I need to grow some trees into a house like this. Right. I just know it's possible, and I've been kind of designing them for years. I think at some point I'll get a piece of land and be able to do it, But yeah, a piece of paper and a pencil kit, and then your imagination, and you can create another world. That's how all the authors have done it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we used to live in trees. I mean, on other planets, they still do, and they always done that.
Have you got a treehouse fetish? Because I'm mad on treehouses.
My kids want to do it, yeah, at some point when I believe that the life's gonna really change dramatically, in the near future. I really do see that. And there's so many trees who can actually grow like that, like what you're showing there. There are already parks like that exists. I was looking through Florida parks. I see some trees are like merging together, blending, making creating perfect tunnel. So it's you're shielded from the sun as you walk through. I mean, anything is possible. There really is.
They've been working on that for the last, I don't know, 40 years. When I think I started, the idea came to me when I was about 18 for these living houses. Mm-hmm. And then we started to see kind of land artists, environmental artists starting to weave trees together. And I realized, it's possible. So I just got more outrageous with it. And I hope that they do too, because it's sort of like, isn't it? It's what we were saying, this kind of movement of all the people coming together.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Everybody's gonna do according to his own by, frequency and imagination, where and what the experience is, and because DNAs are going to be activated, you have you can have the open access to all the knowledge, all the experiences you've ever had. I mean, from there you can combine, because Earth is for that. Earth is for experiencing and creating and combining different cultures, experiences, and ideals. I mean, it should be beautiful like that.
That's where my father, the one who disappeared in our session, like popped off to his planet, didn't he? Not even a word, boom. Because the last time I spoke to him, basically he's fed up, he wants to go. And you think, well, okay, I can see the point to an extent, but all you have to do is just look outside for a moment, and there's just it is extraordinary, it's beautiful. And then you look at a face of a child and it's just wow, heaven. I mean, there's so many beautiful things, so why wouldn't you want to stick around and make it better? But I suppose it's because we've had the imagination switched off. So that's, if I want to do anything, it's to keep it turned on.
Yeah, it's just every soul has its own. Because also remember, it's like one point of light. Really, you can return any. You can want one thing now, and you can want a different thing the next second, and that's what you're gonna get. It's the same thing with timelines. Right now we're all decided to do this one thing, but then next minute we're gonna change our minds, and here we go, we switch to different timeline. Decided not to go with the program, you watch what's gonna happen. Everything of theirs would be poof, doesn't exist. No system, really. Everybody would be shocked. It would be a state of shock for some, for sure, but that's how it works. We support. The only way that the system exists is because of our belief in it and supporting it with our energy.
And so with your work, what you did for me, and I know what you've done for others, I listening to your lovely other rainbow client, she sounded so completely familiar. I thought she was someone I knew, so maybe I do know her. But it's this sense of the confinement and the limitation just gone, and all it needs is a few people like that to walk around a town, isn't it? Because you're just popping that frequency around you. And I see it with the children I work with, that there's a little girl I love so much. She has pet giant African land snails, and she wants a leopard gecko for Christmas. She's a really unusual child. At break time, you see her on the road drawing pictures, and I love this child so much because she understands herself so well. So she saw that I'd given them this project to write songs, and then we were creating a little script as well. And so she decided, well, if she could do it, then of course I can. So in her free time, she wrote this script, for 4 of her friends, and didn't ask me for approval, just went ahead, and they're doing it on the show on Friday. And it's just so beautiful when you see that, because there's no limitation to this girl. Maybe her parents, I don't know, they may be her limitation, but that's the thing, is it's so exciting to just give them that permission.
Yeah, they're very kids are amazing that way. They just don't, they're not constricted yet in their minds, and that really hurts me when I see people, always. It's almost as if some parents just would always stand behind their children and say, no, this is the right way, this is the right way. No, I mean, let them do it, because they might come up with so many better ways than the old ways. But yeah, my kids sure do. Yes.
So, can I also have an opinion? Yes, of course you can. But
Oh, yeah. No, they just know I let them do whatever, as long as it's not dangerous. But other than that, they can do.
yeah, but that's the beauty of trust, isn't it? So that's what I wanted to put in these books as well, that self-reliance, self-help. That was your brilliant phrase. Yeah, because everyone's got it in them, haven't they? They can just hone in on their inner knowledge, and they know you trust them. And I came across a little girl who's immensely talented recently, and she just expected from the environment to be told off. That was the only way she could function if she was severely reprimanded. And I was really kind to her and really compassionate. She didn't know what to do because it kind of was blowing her system out of the water. And she actually withdrew from my class because of that, which is a real shame. But you can see that already at, the age of 7 or 8, children can be so crushed by this crazy system. And if we keep sending these adults to self-help at age 40, they go and sort out their lives or have a midlife crisis or whatever, and we forget that we just need to help the children so they never get to that crazy stage.
Yeah.
But that's the upside down world that you were so rightly identifying.
That's why the inner child comes up a lot, and people go in trance into their childhood. Most of the time, they do go into something traumatic like that. It happened in the childhood in this life, if you talk about this life. But yeah, but you do classes with children, right?
Yeah, I teach for my living. I teach acting and singing and dance.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I can totally see you do it. You're a fun one. Everybody wants to come to your class, I imagine. My kid sure would.
It is adorable. I've got all these little ones who I teach ballet to, and they just all come say, "Hello, Dr. B. Hello, Dr. B." And they, if I'm wearing cashmere, which I like because it keeps me the right temperature, they just like to come and stroke me. It's like, wow, all this love from these little ones. Oh, amazing.
That's beautiful. Boy, yeah, you're doing so much. It's amazing. I mean, I wish I'm looking at the teachers, and like some of them are amazing, and you're one of them. And we need more.
Yeah.
We need an army of teachers like that because the kids need that.
There are some teachers like that. I mean, the school I'm at it's a beautiful school, and you get some really sparkly teachers, but then they're in this grindy system that's supposed to, produce the sausages. And that's the problem. Even if they are beautiful and sparkly, they kind of, like a friend of mine who's a wonderful teacher, and he has to teach about the structure of the earth and the inside. And we were having this chat about it. And he said, well, I write on the board, this is a theory. As he and I know, it's a bunch of nonsense, because all the seismic evidence shows that the earth structure is not the way we're taught in school. But he still has to teach it because that's the system he's employed to. And just that maybe this is the new thing of pulling all this homeschooling and pulling people out of these systems, that we can start to create real knowledge and experimentation.
Yeah, it's amazing because the other day my husband was doing I think it's geography class with my 11-year-old, and he said, did you know that the Earth before didn't used to look like that? Look at the continents. They used to be, those were merged, they got unmerged. Those are trying to get re-emerged. And I said, well, that's exactly what I see in sessions, but nobody would believe me unless you would see it on the screen and would see, would say, Oksana, look. But Oksana knew it before, but nobody would listen because it's not official.
Yeah.
And books.
It's like all those training courses people go on to learn, Reiki or whatever. And it's like, hang on a moment, a human being at some point received that through their state of soul consciousness, and then they just passed it on. So why do you have to go and do an exam to get it? Because you could receive your own system. I mean, it's just so crazy. We just shouldn't have any exams. We shouldn't have any curriculum. Every human being, as we were talking about that individuality, and I loved it so much because, everyone is different. Even my dear friends try and make me like them, and it's like, no, I get my joy in other ways. I don't need to have lots of money in the bank to feel rich. It's that sort of, there's all these different things, and we just won't give ourselves permission to be individual and beautiful and unique and have what we have and have what we need. But you're doing it, and it's so I think you're probably the only person doing what you do on the planet in that way. Thank God you're around.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was gonna say the same about you.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, we need people in every area, in every field like that. And just if when it's coming from your heart, everybody feels it. It's not a narrative. Like it's not the way that everybody else does. It's just your own simple way, you know? And it's felt by others. But yeah, well, thank you so much. And I mean, I can put like link to whenever if people want to get your books.
Oh, that's
The
amazing. Thank you
wonderful
so much.
stories for even themselves. I believe adults are gonna really enjoy them because those are one of those stories that you know have so many meanings depending on at what age you would read them.
Yeah, it's good to read them aloud. Actually, that's I. So you know, you can get them as just PDFs on Amazon, of course, haha. But I've got a few of the last printing still in the hard books, and then when the third book's finished, the book's finished, but the illustrations aren't finished. I've got about 30 illustrations to do still. Then I'm going to produce a little box set with those three together, so people can pre-order those. So that would be nice. But yeah, I can't wait. I just want people to be able to have this just as it is my little contribution. It is a little thing just to get people to think differently, to trust what they already think, but don't dare say. So yeah.
Exactly. It's a huge contribution. I mean, people think that, oh, I'm just little one, my vote doesn't count, my voice doesn't count. Yeah, everything you do counts so much because everybody else is looking, and by example, they would do a similar thing in their own way. And that's what makes us beautiful, right? Oh, well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I,
Great.
I always enjoy talking to you. I mean, it's amazing. Very colorful experience.
We'll meet
Beautiful.
in person one day soon. Okay. Have a
Yeah.
beautiful day.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thanks. Bye bye.